I rented Time Bomb in the
Wow,
90s.
did you tell him that?
I was telling him that. I was like, dude, I am a fan, and I don't just mean Terminator and Aliens. I mean,
All of 'em.
in like 94, when I needed my Bean fix, I went and
just
got
Time Bomb.
Time Bomb, and there was like 4 or 5 other straight-to-DVD ones, which were god-awful, but he was
fantastic. That's all that matters.
He was Michael Biehn in them, right? Hello, folks. It's Michael Mercy again from Armchair Directors. I'm here with Jennifer Blanc, the lovely and talented wife of Michael Biehn, who I just spoke to, here at GenreCon in Guelph. And you're here promoting, among other things, The Victim, which you just appeared in with your husband, who directed. What's it like working and being the bossed around by your husband?
Well, I'm pretty feisty, so I give it back to him pretty good, but ultimately, he has more experience than me, so ultimately I have to give in, especially when it comes to bossing me around on a movie. But it wasn't really bossing around. It was more, if you guys get The Victim, which is at HMV here, you'll see the making of, which is a really fun part of the DVD or Blu-ray package. You'll see the making of, and you'll see there was more like passion than bossing. But there was some yelling, there was some intensity, but there was a lot of passion. And so it can get a little intense, but we're just like that anyway. We're kind of passionate on every level, so it kind of works.
Just to be an actor in general, you have to be passionate, and it's not a lot of people can work with their spouse. It doesn't matter whether it's acting, movies, working at the office, but you seem to be working quite well with Mike. You've worked with him on other projects too, right? What do you think is the secret to a successful working relationship between a husband and a wife?
Well, I think relationships are complicated anyway, so it can complicate it more. I think that someone, in our situation, someone does have to be, like, we started a production company, and someone has to be the studio, the final say on everything. It can't be both of us, or we'd be strangling each other, So I have an opinion, he has an opinion, we may be fighting it out, but ultimately I know in the back of my mind that his decision is really going to be the final decision. Even if I want to lobby or try to push the envelope, his decision is going to be the final decision.
Well, he is the father of John Connor.
That's right, and that's why we came to that. But I think that is the key, because ultimately it is his decision, so ultimately I have to concede. The other thing is I think if you're going to work together with somebody that you're in a relationship with, hopefully you have the same likes and interests, and I think then it does make it easier. And I think we have a lot of that. There are days that it's harder, and there are days that it's easier, but for the most part, like you said, it works really well. And I think if you weighed it out, it would be a list of way more positives than negatives. And I think we get better and better and better at it,
And you got another movie coming out soon?
Yeah, we have The Victim out now. At HMV, you can get The Victim, you can get The Divide, both released by Anchor Bay, and a lot of other places too, Xbox and pay-per-view and Amazon. And
Netflix?
Netflix, not streaming, but because it's on Amazon streaming and at pay-per-view, but Netflix DVD. Hi, it's Nicholas.
It is not available on BitTorrent, so don't be downloading
Do that just because it's our little movie, and we did it so we can actually own a movie and see some of those finances eventually down the road. So
buy it.
And then we have something called Treachery that's in post-production right now that stars Michael. I play a supporting role in it, but it's written and directed by a guy named Travis Romero. And Blanc-Biehn Productions is kind of going to be a place where new writers and directors can develop stuff on a smaller scale, but hopefully a higher quality scale, among other things. And then we've got some projects that are in very, very, very early pre-production, like announced and funding stages. One's called Hidden in the Woods, and has a director named Patricio Valdarez, and he directed and wrote, along with a partner, and his girlfriend or wife did a lot of the production on this movie called Hidden in the Woods, but it's in Spanish, and it was done in Chile. And it's a brutal movie, but it's actually a really well-done movie, especially for the budget they did it on. And so we're going to remake it in English. Okay. And then we have something that's been in the works for a while with director of The Divide and Hitman. His name is Xavier Gens, and he's a French director. And it's called The Farm. And it was his idea, and it's written by the Marcus brothers. And it will star Michael. And it'll star a lot of people from The Divide and a lot of people from The Victim, kind of all put together in one movie, and some people that will add to that list. So, we have a lot in the works, and there's other things, like as an actor, Michael just did a series called 24-Hour Rental and a movie called Tapped. And as an actress, I did Wrong Cops, which will come out next year by Quentin Dupuis, who did Rubber and Wrong. And I'm in a movie with Brad Dourif called Black Butterflies. And, so we also have things going just as actors, too. But it's very exciting to have a production company and be able to have, in between our stuff as actors, things that we are in production on and working diligently to bring to fruition and to give people the opportunity to direct and write under our direction.
How about giving yourself the opportunity to direct? Mike he just directed The Victim. Do you have any interest in taking the directing reins on a movie?
Well, I didn't. I've always wanted to just act and produce, but I think I might want to do it just once.
Oh, you should. You should. It's fun bossing people around, telling them no, more intensity or less intensity.
I think I want to. It's got to be the right thing, but and Michael's got to be in it. So what do you think, honey? Will you be in something I direct? Sure. There you go. So it sounds like I will then.
Now, talk a little bit about just your acting experience. Who are some of the best directors you've worked with, and why? What makes a great director?
I think Michael is one of the best directors I've worked with because he's an actor, and I've worked with him as an actor, and he's just helped me a lot, and so I trust him implicitly, and his acting is pretty flawless, and so I think he knows what's true and what's not true, and so I'll tell you, he's at the top of the list.
Jim Cameron.
Well, Jim Cameron produced something that I was in, and so he is right next.
Did he direct one of theirs?
Not one that I was in.
Oh.
So David Nutter, though, for Jim Cameron, directed me in something, and I think he's pretty fantastic. He did The X-Files for years, and then did Dark Angel, the pilot. And he did.
Quentin Dupuis.
And Quentin Dupuis is my favorite. Not above Michael, but just under Michael. And I'm hoping that he keeps most of my stuff in that movie and works with me again. I worked with a lot of really cool writers on Party of Five that I can speak of. Susanna Grant, who ended up writing Erin Brockovich. And, so I've definitely, I've also worked with a lot of I've worked with Ralph Bakshi, who is a wild card and crazy, did Fritz the Cat, and then he directed me and Alicia Silverstone and Jared Leto and a bunch of people in this movie that took place in the 50s. And I've definitely had a lot of experience. He was a wild card. He was an intense guy.
Do you want to talk about some of the bad directors? What is it that a director does that's an absolute no-no when it comes to actors?
I don't know that there is a no-no. I worked with David Fincher on a Budweiser commercial, and he's gave tons of line readings, which most people say, oh, that's a no-no.
Read it like this, that's a line reading.
Actually, yeah, and I don't have a problem with it. If that's what you want to hear and I'm not doing it, I'd rather you just tell me. Okay. He'll do that if it gets to that, And so a lot of people think that that's like a big taboo thing, which I don't agree with. I don't
kind of an ego.
I don't really know what makes up a bad director. I know what doesn't work for me. I think yelling at me and screaming at me if I'm in a place where I'm vulnerable and people are watching and I look foolish doesn't work for me because then I close up. And there are some directors who work like that, but I haven't really experienced it to where I feel like there's somebody that stands out to me. Every director's different, and you kind of have to just adjust to it. And especially if you're doing like episodic and tons of different things. I think communication is the most important part when you're a director. If you're able to communicate what you want to an actor and get it from them without it being a struggle where they don't understand what you're saying, or you're not communicating it and just say, well, just do it again, do it better, or things like that don't work because I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, I'd like to thank Jennifer Blanc and your husband Michael Biehn for joining us today on Armchair Directors. Thanks so much for coming out to this little Guelph.
We're happy to be here. We're happy to support Thomas. And
it's really cool that you come out not just to the giant conventions like in Toronto, but to Guelph. This is the first time GenreCon is running. So thank you so much. And these littler, smaller conventions are a great way to really get like the one-on-one time with the fans who can come up to you and tell you about the really weird, obscure stinkers that you did earlier in your career. But they go, hey,
hearing about, but
And they tell you that you were great in them.
Yeah, that's right.
So
that's
thank
right.
you so much for joining us, and we'll definitely be keeping track of your
Thank you.
future films and reviewing them on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my dear.
Thank you. Thank you both.